Welcome to the Lakers Central podcast. The Lakers are back in the playoffs, so me and Vinay decided to jump on and talk about it a little bit. Before we get into the show, Lakers Central is sponsored by Stitcher, so make sure you check out Stitcher Premium. You can get it free for 30 days. Use promo code Crossover. Again, Stitcher sponsors the show. Check them out and use promo code Crossover. Vinay, I am so excited that the Lakers are back into the playoffs. I'm sitting there with my Snoop Cali Red. Shout out to Snoop. We'd love to get a sponsorship, Snoop, if you see this. So I'm happy, man. How are you feeling?
I am excited. I am a little bit anxious because these games, I don't know if you caught the games yesterday, but the games have been very competitive, I would say, for the most part, maybe outside of that Toronto-Brooklyn game. We had our first upset of the playoffs with the Bucks, the unbeatable Bucks. The analytics darling Bucks losing to the Magic. I mean, I expect the Bucks to win that series and make adjustments, but I am anxious. I'm excited, and overall, even outside the Lakers, I'm just happy I'm able to watch playoff basketball. I know the Houston game's going on right now, and we're watching it, but it's just I'm happy. I'm happy Lakers basketball is back, and I'm happy playoff basketball is back, and everything that we've been talking about all season. I'm hoping that Frank preserving Anthony Davis's body and all that sort of stuff, and the execution and all the poor shooting that we saw in the bubble, the regular season. I hope all that stuff has all been kind of worked out in like the past 4 or 5 days that the Lakers have had rest, and they come out sharp. I'm just happy, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, we're back in the playoffs, first time in like 6-7 years. It's been a while. I'm not anxious right now. Of course, that could be the wine, but I'm glad the Lakers are back in the playoffs, man. I mean, I'm hoping they don't come out flat because we know how these things work. They come out flat, and then Lakers Twitter goes crazy. And we certainly don't want them to get behind and Dame to kind of go nuclear, and then the Bucks have been made fun of all day today since they took that L, and the Bucks aren't going to lose that series. If they do, that's crazy. But I want to see the Lakers come out with some energy. I want to see LeBron and Anthony Davis take it to Portland because for as great as Dame is, and we have no answer for Dame and none for CJ also, Portland has no answer for LeBron or certainly Anthony Davis.
Yep.
I mean, so I'm interested to see who Frank Vogel starts if he sticks with the same starting lineup with KCP and JaVale. But what I'm also hoping to see is he doesn't stick with the two big lineup all game. And if he does, I'm hoping he goes a little bit more to Dwight at the 5. But it's playoff time, baby. AD's got to play more 5. And so I want to see how they look in this first game. Yeah,
I mean, I've tweeted out a couple times, like it's pretty clear that Vogel is using him more as the 5. It's definitely not full-time 5, which is what we want to see. I agree with you. I want to see AD play more 5. Just go ahead and take the cap off the whole situation and let him play. I don't think they've announced the starting lineups yet, which is kind of a surprise. They usually do. So I wonder if maybe he is either maybe they're seeing how like KCP looks in the warm-ups and decide whether to start him or not, that kind of stuff. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but one of the things that I think this matchup specifically presents is that they do kind of run two bigs. Like, Zach Collins is going to be hurt for the Blazers, so they're playing Wenyen Gabriel instead. And Wenyen Gabriel is like Melo size. He's like maybe a little bit bigger than Melo. So they're still kind of running two bigs. Not obviously AD and JaVale or AD and Dwight size bigs. So I wouldn't be surprised if for whatever reason the Lakers do what they do. But the thing that I'm going to be very interested in seeing is in the bubble, he's been extending the bench minutes with Anthony Davis at the 5 for like a very, very long period of time. So I'm very curious to see if that continues. Is he going to keep like that? During the season, regular season, he was playing Anthony Davis maybe about 35 to 40% of his minutes were at the 5, and that number's gone up to like 60%, almost 70% in some games. Like the Houston matchup, 70% of his minutes were at the 5. So it's like depending on, I think he's going to do what he's going to set it up based on what Portland does. If Portland tries to roll out like Nurkic and Hassan at the same time, he'll probably play 2 bigs just because that's a lot of, you got to help with the rebounds and stuff like that. Davis can't take both of those guys off himself. But I agree with you, man. Like, we don't have any individual defender that's going to completely stop CJ and Dame just like in one-on-one matchups. Mm-hmm. We definitely have guys that can make their lives a little bit more miserable. Caruso has been good in spots. KCP does a really good job running around screens, that stuff. Kuzma has started to show up a little bit better as a defender, but it's going to be team defense in the end. But in the end, it all starts and stops with LeBron. If LeBron is dominating his matchup, if they're putting Melo on him and he's finding his guys and they're hitting open shots, all that kind of stuff, the Lakers are just too hard to beat. We've already beaten Portland 3-1. So like we know that this team is beatable. This is not like it's a struggle or anything like that. But I'm like you, man. The main thing I want to see is execution. Is the defense crispy? Are the rotations good? And all the smart folks on Lakers Twitter have already mentioned it. Like, you can't let Dame just turn the game into a jump shooting game. You can't give him wide open threes. You got to challenge his pick and roll action, all that sort of stuff. So the Lakers have actually done a really good job against him. Minus the one game, which happens every single year at Staples Center, where Dame just comes in and shuts it all down and just can't miss. So, we'll see what happens. But it's been long. It's 6 years, man. With 6 years, we haven't been in the playoffs, and we're finally back to this point. And I'm sure you saw it, but this past weekend, Laker fans have been pushing the underdog storyline, and it's made a lot of people really upset that we're calling ourselves underdogs, even though everybody's telling us there's like 10 different ways that we could lose.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, so then I guess we're underdogs if there's that many ways. But I've genuinely enjoyed that. I think Laker fans have taken whatever that troll is, and then they counter trolled them, and it's just been hilarious. I'm just happy, man.
It's crazy because since it's been about 6 or 7 years since they've been good. There's a good amount of Lakers fans who, like, they weren't around like you and I were for either the Magic, the Showtime Lakers, the Shaq Kobe Lakers.
Yeah,
I mean, even when Kobe was still, they won those back-to-back championships. There's a couple, a group of fans that were either really young teenagers or maybe even younger than that, and all they really know is, they know the history, but they, through their fandom, it's been the Lakers have been really bad. We've lost Kobe, all these things. Now all of a sudden, there's LeBron and Anthony Davis, the 1 seed in the West, second best record-wise in the league, and these guys have a legit shot to win a championship. It's. So you mentioned, you might be a little nervous, a little antsy. I haven't really felt antsy about the Lakers in a really long time. Yeah. Like, at least in competitive basketball, like, certainly with getting free agents and things like that when they went after big stars, but like on the court basketball, I don't even know how I'm going to feel. Like when I start watching them, man, it's been a minute. And like, I always reflect on, I remember when the Lakers were up like 25 against Boston in 2008, I think in game 4 or 5. And like, Paul Pierce pretends like there's a story that he had to take a shit or something like that. And that's why
that's confirmed. He confirmed
that's
that
real?
He crapped himself. Yeah. So he faked the knee injury because he had actually pooped himself. And then that's why he like showed up miraculously and stuff. I don't know if what it was, but I know I want to say it was McGrady, or it was on a show. Somebody like just direct, like on national television, just like directly asked him, I wanted like the jump or something like that. They're like, "Yo, is this what happened?" And he's just like, "Yeah, man, I had an incident." And I get it. Like I'm sure like football players, that happens all the time when they take like a crazy hit or something like that. But people, that was a conspiracy theory for a long time.
It was wild, man. Like I remember he went down and then he went out on in a wheelchair, and you're like, okay, is he done for the series? And he comes right back out running.
I was just like, what? Yeah.
And he proceeds to like roast us. Like, oh my God. But like, it's been so long since we've been in meaningful basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like even that last playoff season, Kobe tore his Achilles, and then, they went into the playoff. They barely got into the playoffs in the first place. He had to hit all those crazy game winners that year. They get in, he's already down. Dwight's back still isn't right. He was thinking about leaving.
He was playing injured,
Yeah, there was just a ton of issues. Nash was never right that year. And so it's been a really long time since we've been good, man. And I'm just thinking, like, if we, if we go up big tonight, or we just crush them, I might act the fool on Twitter. I might tweet anything. I don't know, man.
But I don't think that's just you. I think that's the sentiment of all Laker fans everywhere. Like whether you were old enough to fully grasp and understand what Kobe was doing without Shaq, and what like one of the things that I feel like maybe there's a big generation that's part of the social media generation of Laker fans, like that they don't realize, or maybe they weren't old enough to really understand, is Kobe was made fun of a lot when Shaq left and won that championship with like that was a thing, like it was like everybody, even the national media knew that, like, all right, Kobe without Shaq. And back then the Western Conference was varsity. Like the Eastern Conference was a JV conference. Like that is where the Lakers three-peating with Shaq and Kobe, and then Tim Duncan going in on all those in-between years and dominating the way he did. That is why the narrative after Michael Jordan has always been that the Eastern Conference is a JV conference. And when Shaq went to Miami, like people were making all kinds of jokes. So the Laker fans at that time had a chip on their shoulder like crazy. And for us to go and play the Celtics and then lose to the Celtics when Kobe finally makes it back to the finals, like that, like added even more of a chip to like Laker fans' shoulders. So like we didn't have social media as an outlet. Like you just had a bunch of Laker fans counting the days until the season would start again. And that's where, and like that was also Kobe's personality. He never forgot anything like that. And so that's why it's like that. And it's and I agree with you, like when we beat Orlando in the finals, it was great. But even then, I almost never felt like it was complete. But when we got a chance to beat the Celtics and then we beat the Celtics, that's when I was like, all right, now we're here. Now, whatever anybody else said about Kobe or the Lakers, you can't say that anymore. And, obviously history has continued on from there and stuff like that. But I get it. Like, you're absolutely right. For the folks that are more, their NBA experience has more been from the social media era where you're getting all this information and all that sort of stuff, and people troll all the time online and all that sort of stuff. Like, this is a big deal for you. You're going to celebrate every win. And look, we've said it on the streams, the podcast multiple times. Everybody is going to tell you it's this year or it's all there's a meteor is going to strike right after game 7 or whatever the last game is. Like, that's how people are going to treat the Lakers chasing a championship. Obviously, we know it's not like that. LeBron in year 17 is still pretty good. And I'm pretty sure in year 18, he's still going to be pretty good. But I think the best thing that we can do, and I encourage you to do it, is enjoy the moment. Like, who cares, right? Like, what we've seen of all the things that have happened this year, Kobe's passing, the league getting shut down, the pandemic. Life is very short in terms of like these experiences. And so go ahead, man. I'll probably just be retweeting stuff and laughing in the background anyway. So like that's what I've been doing. I'll be writing on the side, and I'll have my little Twitter up on the side, and I'll see something funny, I'll retweet it. Write something, retweet it. Like, enjoy it, man. Like it's this is what it's about, man. This is what NBA is about. And nothing moves NBA Twitter like Laker fans. We get on something, it's trending within like 5-10 minutes. So, I'm excited. I hope they can. I expect them to finish this game off with a win, and I just hope they look good doing it. It may be ugly towards the end because Portland's a scrappy team and Dame's not going to go down without fighting. But it would be really, really good to see them like really put a nice execution game together.
No, I mean, it would. And I'm usually a pretty measured, Lakers fan, on Twitter. But no, I like right now, we've taken a lot of crap over the years, man. And like, I might be pretty reckless on Twitter. We win this game tonight. And look, man, it's funny you mentioned like the post Shaq years, right? Because I remember when we lost to Detroit, and my friends teased me about that. They always said it was the first 5-game sweep. Like they completely teased me about that L, man. And I thought we would win that series. We didn't. There's a number of reasons why we didn't, but Shaq leaves LA, and I remember the narrative being Kobe can't win by himself. Yeah. And Shaq was carrying him this whole time. And then even that season, I think 05, Kobe was third team All NBA instead of second or first team. I mean, people were saying Dwayne Wade was already better than him and all these things. And I remember like Kobe didn't run Shaq out of LA. Now, there was an incident with Shaq throwing the ball at Dr. Jerry Buss and wanting a larger contract. And Jerry Buss made a business decision. The young gun superstar or the old guy who, you know, Shaq clearly had another ring or two left in him. That part was obvious. He just wasn't 2000 Shaq anymore, you know. And so Jerry Buss made a business decision. But from that point on, you know, the Lakers were really, really bad. Kobe was tearing the league up scoring wise. I mean, he was just like, he was torching everybody during that window. But yet the narrative was Kobe couldn't win. He couldn't win. And I think it's that time when the quote unquote cult of Kobe or the Kobe stands or whoever these people are, like, I think that's when a group of Lakers fans really became enamored with him. Not as, you know, we already were, he was amazing. But I think like when the league kind of turned on him, especially with the Colorado incident, when a lot of people turned on him, his fans really dug in and like put their arms around him. Yeah, and I agree. When we lost, you know, we got Pau Gasol and went up against Boston, I thought we would win that first championship, but we didn't. You know, Boston, to their credit, they beat the crap out of us. But back-to-back years following that against Orlando, that Orlando year, it should have been a Kobe LeBron series. I think that was the one year we were all expecting.
That's my biggest what if, man, of all time. Yep,
that's the one. And for them to beat Orlando, get another crack at Boston, and in 7 games beat Boston, I mean, you know, and then for him to, you know, for his prime to basically be ended on him dragging the Lakers back into the playoffs, like everything that he did, I think just endeared Lakers fans to him even more. And so I know the guy is smiling down. He's got to be happy. Like the job isn't finished. We know, we know how he was, but he's got to be happy that this franchise is back in the championship hunt.
Yeah. I mean, I think the taking it one game at a time and, you know, like respecting what the process is to get to this point, understanding what the process is, not panicking, all that sort of stuff, man. Like that's the kind of stuff for, you know, for Laker fans, we experienced it because, you know, he was out in Orange County working out. I used to have friends who used to like try and spy on him and stuff like that during his shoot arounds and stuff at UCI. But like this, a lot of his personality is what, you know, Lakers personality is. If you come with this negative energy for Laker fans, then Laker fans are going to return that same negative energy. And that was the case. You know, he was our own. He was the standing guest in all of our households and stuff like that. So I expect Laker fans to be the same way, win or lose. And I expect them to be, frankly, I expect Laker fans to be sore winners, and I expect them to be like sore losers. So it's like that, but that's the nature of battling for championships every year. And I think what's made this season, you know, obviously with Kobe's passing, even more like eventful or just like even more important is the fact that we've been reading all season about how the Lakers are not a championship caliber team. And even now, I don't remember who posted it, but there was somebody on Twitter that he got retweeted to my timeline, but he just said, you know, ESPN is writing an article saying, here's all the different ways the Lakers could lose, but they're not writing that article for anybody else. Like, think about what that is. Like, this is a 1 seed, and yet you're still having people write that. I mean, and Fox News and stuff like that, they're just being outlandish when they say, well, the Blazers could really upset. And it's pretty obvious that the folks that are saying that are obviously trying to troll for attention and engagement and stuff like that. And I get that. You know, there's an entire cottage industry built on trolling. And what they want to do is troll so that they can get more people to follow them. And the trolls love the trolls. And it's some weird hive mind that works together on Twitter. So that's not big. But one thing I will say is Twitter is also not reality. NBA Twitter is not reality. So even though things may get tons of retweets and likes and stuff like that, as it relates to, you know, the Lakers issues on whatever, like shooting and stuff like that, usually the reality of the games are a little bit different. Do they have bad shooting games? Yeah. But do other teams have bad shooting games? Well, if you saw the Bucks game earlier today, clearly even the best shooting teams in the league can have bad shooting games. So it's not exclusive to just the Lakers. But I think we'll get a good idea, outside of just the players themselves. LeBron has a lot of equity because of who he is, how good of a player he is. But I think that, like, I don't know if you've seen this, but like the general consensus I feel that's on the timeline is like people want to see Anthony Davis in the playoffs. Like they know that he swept Portland 2 years back or 3 years back and stuff like that. But what they want to know is, can he replicate that? Was that a fluke? Was that just, was that just circumstance? Is he ready for the big time? Because the big time in New Orleans, where you have really no expectations whatsoever, and the big time in LA are two completely different things. And, maybe the fact that they're in Orlando and there's no Laker fans out there for him to feel pressured under in a home court, that may be beneficial to him. That was something that I thought everybody's been saying, like, oh, these guys like Paul George who, crack under pressure and stuff like that when they're on visiting courts, he's the one who benefits the most from this. But I would say all of these young guys who've probably never seen a playoff environment at Staples or at the Boston Garden, or I think it's called TD Garden, Boston Garden, I don't remember.
TD Bank Stadium now, something.
Yeah, or like in Denver or Utah or even Portland's Moda Center. I've been there. That environment is very hostile and the fans are very, very close. Like, I think that helps these role player guys. There's no pressure. It's just you and your teammates and the coaches on the side. So, I'm sure Laker fans, anybody who's shooting like garbage, we'll let them know on the timeline. Their mentions will be lit up. I think people are going to be keeping their eyes on Anthony Davis. And I think the person who probably has the biggest, probably not target, but I would say spotlight, is Frank Vogel. I think the coach is going to have a lot of, like, is he making adjustments? Did he learn from what he saw in the regular season? Does he really evaluate his coach? I've been high on Vogel because I see him making adjustments, and it's clear that he's not trying to spam his adjustments. He's just working along. And Rondo's he's inactive tonight, so we don't have to worry about Vogel just trying to throw him in there. I'm super high on the Dion Waiters, Alex Caruso, Kyle Kuzma bench trio. That's been really good, at least in the analytics. So I think this Laker team is going to be better than what we saw in the regular season, because now it's like, all right, before we were just trying to tread water. Now we don't have to play JaVale for 20 minutes. JaVale can play his total of 10 minutes, 5 minutes at the beginning of each game or each half, and then we're done with this. Like, we don't need to do this anymore because we preserved Anthony Davis up until this point. But for sure, even though it's the first round, even though playoffs are started, they still got to be healthy. Like, Victor Oladipo just went down. Like, if hard, like Russ had a quad strain for Houston. Like, the Lakers have to stay healthy all the way up until they can't risk being healthy anymore until it's like
Gordon Hayward just went down, and I think that that might be the biggest issue for all these teams. Like, it might just be a war of attrition. Like, who's left standing later in the playoffs, right? I mean, we're already seeing these injuries, and I want to see LeBron impose his will on Portland. Like, I want to see him look as close to 2018 LeBron as we can get, and then Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis needs to look like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out there, man. Like, I don't mean he needs to throw sky hooks, but like he should easily pull down 30 and 15 against a night against this team. Like, there's no excuse for him not to. So I want to see him be dominant. I agree with you. I think not having fans in the stands might help the younger guys. Like, I'm curious, how Kyle Kuzma looks. He's actually looked really good in the bubble, and that might be because there's not that pressure up. Look, even at Staples, Lakers fans are putting pressure on you. I mean, you feel it when you're at Staples. All these celebrities are there. You screw up, and you're a young guy, you know it. And then social media puts additional pressure. Non-Lakers fans put pressure. So he's looked good. I want to see how he looks. I'm glad they didn't try and force Rondo in tonight because I don't think he's ready. I want to see more of the Caruso, Dion Waiters backcourt. I want to see these guys. Give them a shot, man. Like, there's no reason to bring Rondo back as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm not the coach, but I am also looking at how Vogel manages the lineups and who he plays the most. And you know what? Kind of sidebar, but I'm hoping that they place a call to Alvin Gentry this offseason. I mean, so that's what I'm really hoping.
Yeah. So, I guess that's probably going to have to depend on if Kidd or Lionel Hollins gets a better gig somewhere else. I don't know if there's a limit on how many assistant coaches you can have. There may be, but yeah, Alvin Gentry is a good coach. I don't know if he's cut out to be a good head coach because I don't know if he makes. I don't know really how to put it, but like there are just some coaches that like they're really good on one side of the ball and they're good people or like people coaches or player coaches, but like ignoring the defensive side or just thinking that, hey, I can just swap this guy out for this guy and then my defense will be fine. Like defense in today's NBA, because the NBA rules are so difficult as it relates to a defender, playing against an offensive player, it's so hard. And then now you've got like guys like Harden, Kawhi, Paul George, and Dame, Chris Paul. Like, the Houston game's going off on the side here, but like they're so good at drawing fouls because they either foul bait or they trick the refs into thinking they actually got fouled when they never did. That kind of stuff. It's so hard to play defense that like you can't just take one guy and just say, I'm going to put this guy on this guy, and then I don't have to worry about that offensive player. Not against the elite players. I just saw Luka Doncic tear up everybody on the Clippers in one-on-one. And so it's pretty obvious that, like Luka's a tremendous player. He's a tremendous athlete. He's a tremendous player. But, that Clippers team was getting, greatest defensive team of all time sort of vibes and stuff like that. So clearly, like, team defense is much more important than individual player defense. And Gentry's a good coach. I just don't know if he schematically does team defense. I can tell you that the one guy that does do that is Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel tries to devise defensive schemes that allow his team to be successful. And I think that's a big reason why the Lakers have been so good on defense. And they've also been really good on defense in the bubble, even though they're shooting like hot garbage for some games. So, like I said, it's I'd like to add Alvin Gentry. I don't know if Kidd is a serious candidate for any of the jobs that he's been mentioned for. But the other thing I do want to say is do not be surprised if other coaches get let go, like Mike D'Antoni, who is – I don't think he got his contract renewed, so he's also somebody that's there. I would say – who's the other guy I was thinking of that could get let go? Brett Brown of the Sixers. He's another guy who I thought – should have been let go last year, but maybe they'll do it now and they'll kind of figure things out. But I think there are going to be a lot of really good coaches that are available, and there won't be head coaching positions for them. But if they want, there'll be some assistant positions for them. And so if the Lakers do have a vacancy, I hope they seriously consider somebody who's willing to, it sounds like Vogel's like basically letting Kidd figure out what's the best offense. Kidd and Hollins figure out what the best offense is while he helps manage the players and the defense. So I can't wait, man.
Me neither. Well, we got one of our Lakers friends waiting in the wings, so I'm getting ready to bring him in, man. One half of the Late Night Lakers. What's going on, Ricky, man? How's it going?
Hey, dog, I'm palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy right now. We getting ready for some playoff basketball. It's been a while, my brothers, but we ready to go. How y'all doing?
Man, we're jazzed up, man. I was telling Vinay, I'm kind of mellow right now because I'm drinking this Snoop Dogg Cali red wine. Shout out to Snoop. We could use an endorsement.
Yeah, we sure could. I'll do a spot for him. Yeah, I got my little Bebito over here getting ready for the game, man. Thank you for having me on, first of all, pregame, because I don't know what my alcohol consumption is going to be by the fourth quarter, depending on how this game goes. But no, I'm excited. I'm ready for our Lakers to take the court and do what they do best, and that's play solid team basketball, lock in on defense, and force the stars to be stars. And yes, Portland's got one of the best and the hottest one in the bubble right now, but you know what? I think defense plays a pretty important role in the playoffs. So we're going to see. We're going to see.
We are, man. So I want to get to some Lakers talk with you, but I got to ask you first, man. I'm sure you guys saw this the other day. So Vince Carter is saying that if Kawhi wins a third championship, you can put him next to LeBron, Kobe, and Michael. I'm sure you saw my tweets because I got extremely upset. I was offended by that. I was highly offended, man. My wife told me go to my office and start streaming. I was so upset.
Yeah.
Ricky, what's going on? Like, I mean, is this just hyperbole? Are people just talking? Like, why make a comment like that when Kawhi, 3 championships, right? He's got 3 championships, but San Antonio was ready-made. The Raptors were ready-made. And if he gets his 3rd one, I mean, this is almost ready-made as well. I mean, he kind of stole Paul George out of Oklahoma City, right? But the man has scored. Together. He did. The man has scored 9,000 points in his career. I mean, Kobe scored 16,000 in each of his jersey numbers.
The numbers, I know we're not trying to be prisoners of just stat sheets and, things like that. But looking at the numbers, it almost makes you laugh thinking that this is, Kawhi is part of this conversation. Like, I think what makes the legacies of Kobe and LeBron, and in all honesty, what Kawhi is building, right, is something that needs to be looked at in totality towards the end of the career. Putting Kawhi in the stratosphere of LeBron and Kobe would be the same thing of saying LeBron was in the category of Michael Jordan with no rings. It didn't work out that way, and the conversation doesn't necessarily start until you hit some of the prerequisites. Now, is Kawhi Leonard a bad man? Absolutely. Is he one of the most dominating small forwards in his era? Absolutely. Does he play 70% of the games? Yes. Does he, whine and moan like all the other superstars, but unlike them, doesn't get the same kind of, magnifying glass of why is Kawhi bitching and complaining so much? Excuse my language. But I think when we look at just Kawhi's accomplishments in the finals time and how he has gotten 2 MVPs on 2 different teams, that's pretty. That goes up on the wall. That's fantastic. We're not taking anything away from him with that. But you got to look at this book as a complete one. And when you started off with, in the beginning, Kawhi Leonard had Greg Popovich, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker. In the middle, he had a ready-made Toronto Raptors team that was ready to win a championship. They just needed a guy who wasn't scared of LeBron James, and just so happens LeBron James left the conference, and just so happened KD was not playing the entire finals. It just so happened Steph Curry wasn't in the finals. So, okay, but we'll give you that one. But now you're in the same situation today with you got a prepackaged team. Good for you. You organize that. You got to put together at least 7 more years of Kawhi Leonard, arguably the best player in the NBA, and continue to rack up these championships before we begin to put you in that category.
And that's my question. And Vinay, you can answer this if you want as well. But like during Kawhi's time, there's a man named LeBron James that's been the best player in the NBA. Steph Curry has changed the way basketball is played. And then there's a guy named Kevin Durant that I know a lot of people don't like, but he also is considered one of the best players in the NBA. So how there's these other 3 guys during this era. How all of a sudden is Kawhi jumping KD and Steph? I mean, it's crazy.
Skip
like,
to
what are we doing? It's crazy, man. I mean, I was really frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Wait, Vinay, real quick. Is Kawhi Leonard in his career better than Steph Curry? Like, let's start there. Why do we have to jump all the way to the gods, right? We're talking about Steph Curry as how many more championships can he get to put himself in this pinnacle of a conversation? Not Kawhi Leonard right now. Until Kawhi leaps Steph, he can't get to LeBron, right?
Right.
Shit, he can't. He got to leap KD too.
Hello? Hell fucking low.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Vinay.
I was going to say, like, probably one of the most important parts is, can you guys hear me? Or am I still coming in super laggy?
You're good.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if Lakers Twitter is shutting down all of the internet right now as they're all getting all ready for the game. But my internet's acting up right now. basically there's levels to this. You know, like Kawhi is a great player, but when you're talking about the entire body of work, you know, how many points somebody's put up in their entire career and all that sort of stuff, all those individual accolades, the whole process of becoming a great player, like I can't put him over that. Like championships are not the only measure of a great player. It's like, how did you do when you first came into the league and gradually became a better player? Like if Kobe doesn't struggle, if we don't see him struggle, we don't have love for him the same way that we do today, because we watched him fail and not be successful. And the same goes for like LeBron. We watched him 7 years. He was a great player, generational player. As soon as he stepped foot in Cleveland, but we watched him struggle, right? And the only knock that Kawhi really has on him is what? Like, he wasn't that great of a shooter when he came into the league. He came to a team, and that's not his fault, right? It's not his fault that he got drafted by Indiana and then traded on draft day to the Spurs, right? The Spurs saw some talent in him. They found to use it. But at the same time, I can't give him credit for that, right? Like, and the argument about finals MVPs and stuff like that, which is usually what I always hear. Oh, if Kawhi wins 3 finals MVPs with 3 different teams, nobody's done something like that. That's pretty crazy. And my thing is, look, Andre Iguodala has a finals MVP, right?
Right.
And he got that finals MVP because the people who were watching basketball didn't realize that his only responsibility was to stop LeBron from scoring 35 points a game and bring him down to like 30 points a game. Okay. But the MVP was Steph Curry. But they gave it to Andre Iguodala because he was the guy who was defending one of the greatest players of all time and preventing him from, you know, scoring the way he normally does.
He bothered him.
Right, exactly.
He annoyed him. So you get the trophy at the end.
Yeah, exactly. And so my thing is that I understand, and this is a conversation I've had with a few different folks. When we're talking about like, hey, is Kawhi is a tremendous player last year, or from 2016 to 2020, where does he rank in that grouping of players? I understand if you're going to put Kawhi at the top, or you want to put him top 3, or you want to put him above KD, whatever, that's fine. I understand that. But when we're talking about body of work, right? You can't just say that, oh, okay, well, you know what? He won 3 championships. He won one with the Spurs. Well, you know, we'll forget the fact that they have like a potentially top 10 player of all time on that roster, even though it was and he played with 3 other Hall of Famers at the same time. Like, we have to like look at context. We have to like look at things like in a normal way. And I think probably the worst, the part of Twitter that, and I only see this on Twitter, and probably on Instagram too as well, but social media has this thing that they do where they just like completely forget like their history. And, you know, it's probably because that's what the generation is. Attention span's lower and stuff like that. But
recency
just like
bias.
But all year last year, like, we know LeBron got hurt. We know he tried to come back hurt. And we know that he, you know, he just wasn't right. And Ingram getting hurt and Ball getting hurt, it killed our playoff chances. Right. Mm-hmm. But people turning around, and the stuff I've been laughing at is people turning around and going, oh, the Lakers haven't been in the playoffs in 6 years. You guys are a poverty franchise. And then then Lakers Twitter turns around and says, man, it's been so tough for us. We haven't been in the playoffs for 6 years. And then those same people are like, hey man, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, we haven't, we're the Knicks. We haven't been there. Or, you know, I think the Kings just set a record, or they're about to tie the record or something like that. 15 years without making the playoffs. They're like, oh, you guys don't know pain. This is real pain. It's like, all right, then make up your mind, bro. Like, are we not a good franchise, or are we a good franchise? Or like, and that's the part about that it's funny and it's irritating, but you know, that's Twitter. That's how it works.
The funny thing about the Kawhi conversation is people are taking this small window of time, right? So like, whatever faith you believe in, the Bible didn't end with the book of Genesis. There's a whole lot of other books that make up the Bible, right? The New and the Old Testament. King James Version, international, whatever you're into. There's a lot of books in there.
Deuteronomy in Bible school, but yeah, there's a lot of them after. There's like Ruths and Jameses and all types.
There's a whole lot, and they take like this 1 3 or 4 year window, and it's like where he's elite. He's a bad man, but like, let me ask you guys this question: if Paul George gets drafted by San Antonio and has Greg Popovich and Tim Duncan and Manu and Tony, how much better is Paul George right now? Does he have 2 rings already?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he probably has at least 1 ring, because that's the one that he got with Kawhi. And I mean, the other thing I'll say is this: Twitter's very selective with what they want to remember, obviously, because everybody got to push agendas. We're talking. They want to, they'll bring up Kawhi and the Spurs like outright beating, the Heat and stuff like that. And the Heat were completely outclassed the year. I think it was 2015 or something like that, or 14. But they won't bring up that Kawhi bricked 2 free throws the year before in a game-clinching situation, which is what ended up resulting in the 3 that Ray Allen hit. So everybody has high and low moments, right? Everybody's just like, oh,
right.
Kawhi's already better than Harden. Like Harden's like this and Harden. But Harden has lit up Kawhi in one-on-one situations. But you'd have to go back beyond whenever Twitter started to know that. And that's the thing, and I've learned post Kobe's passing to not get engaged on Kobe stuff unless it's like something like very egregious, like not even bad. It's when it's like something personal and not basketball related, because it's just the trolling is just like it's. I feel like NBA fans. There's like 2. There's one that respects the game, and then there's another one that just like has no respect, doesn't even care about the basketball. They're just trolling because that. Yeah, they're trolling for reactions, and because like that's their way of making friends. I feel like trolling is like the new way to make friends. Like, hey, you want to make fun of Kobe? I want to make fun of Kobe too. So like now we're friends or some shit like that. So, but I saw what you were saying. The conversation you had, Alex, and I was just like,
I was so frustrated, man.
Yeah,
I was trying to eat my fried chicken breast in peace, and I see Vince Carter talking nonsense, and I'm like, man. Ricky, how obnoxious are you going to be tonight if the Lakers beat the crap out of Portland?
Yeah, so the concoction's been kind of brewing ever since the Bucks took that L this afternoon, and also the Bucks cost me a little bit of money in my 3-team parlay.
I had a feeling when I saw Ricky's tweet in the morning, and Ricky's tweet was like, hey, I'm already up 150 or something like that after the Brooklyn game. And then he was real mad. I was like, hold on a second. This guy put money on this Bucks game.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. When you start calling out what you're doing with your money, that's usually when it ends up a little bit short in reality. But no, I'm starting with a little bit of my Beatos, my beer. I'm drinking my little, Revolution IPA brewing company. Fine folks there. But I'm definitely switching over. Once tip-off starts, I haven't decided light or dark. We either going with tequila or Crown, but regardless, all I know is I'm gonna be flagrant. Game 1, because this is the only game that I'm giving Portland. Right? I predicted on Late Night Lake Show that it's gonna be a gentleman's sweep. Right? I think Dame's running out of gas. I respect the hell out of him, everything he's doing. He's a better basketball player than rapper, and he's a decent rapper at that. Right? But he is a human, and CJ McCollum has a partially broken back, and Yusuf Nurkic is still jagging shots around the rim, and Carmelo Anthony has to guard LeBron James. So when those things result in a Lakers W at the end of tonight, I'm going to be Cuba Gooding Jr. in that gif of him getting walked out in the handcuffs, smirk on his face. That's going to be me because I might get suspended. We're going to see about it, though. I'll try to keep it cool.
Yeah, my wife was like, "Hey, you're gonna watch a Laker game downstairs on the big TV, or are you gonna like?" I'm in the upstairs. This is one of our upstairs extra rooms, and I got my whole office set up here. She's gonna watch, or are you gonna watch it up here? I was like, I don't know. I was like, oh, if you guys want to watch it with me, you guys can watch it. Her and my daughter. If you guys want to watch it with me, you guys can. She's like, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. You should probably just go watch it here, bro.
I'm dead. Yeah,
she's like, because you get real irritated when like the Lakers are messing around and just making dumb plays. So she's like, I don't need you lashing out at anybody in anger.
No, exactly.
So,
I got to kiss son goodnight after I hop off of here, and then we getting right to it. I got. My engineer and one of my rotation co-hosts, Kwame, they're out in the building. They already got the game going outside. So we fired up, man. We ready to go. Lakers back. We're back, boys. We're back. It's time to finish the job. Quest for 17. I'm so happy that we're doing this and we're doing it in a forum like this and sharing it out with other Lakers fans.
No, they haven't confirmed the lineups, right? We don't know who's starting, right?
Frankie Smokes keeps it under wraps, man. He gonna slide it in a little envelope to the officials right before the game, and we're gonna see starting at center, JaVale McGee. But it's all good. It's fine. It's all good.
Hey, Ricky, I wanted to ask you, man. I know you're a big Pelinka fan, man, and we love Pelinka over here too. How come his peers aren't giving him any love for Executive of the Year, man? Why the hate?
Man, just as like Kobe Bean Bryant was a lone wolf, he had a partner in crime, which was Rob Pelinka, who in turn ended up also being a lone wolf in his industry. When you're an agent, sometimes you're not going to be buddy with everybody in the industry. You got to, do a little couple back doors, do this and do that, right? Not everybody's going to love you. And then for him to, tootsie slide his way into the general manager position without, history as a GM and without formal interview rounds, right? Other people around the league might feel some type of way about it, right? No, we're not concerned about that, but you asked the question, so I'm telling you, it's a little bit of jealousy that he got the most coveted position in the professional basketball. Let's not mince our words about it. You look around the league, you wipe the slate clean of rosters, everything. Which job are you taking first? Probably the team in Los Angeles. That's second most in championships and all that. So at the end of the day, they hate Rob because he's not about to kiss anyone's ass, but the players that he serves. And he's going to get the job done. So they hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah, and I would to add to what Ricky said, Rob has not said anything bad about any of the people that have been talking bad about him, and that is the best. That is the Laker way to go ahead. I mean, let us fans do that heavy lifting for you, Rob. We'll go out of our way and talk all the shit that on your behalf when people not giving you credit. But Rob has done it in the best way possible. He's seen everything that people said, and then he said nothing about it. He said, you know what? I'm going to let the Lakers play their game. And look at what he's doing. He's out there grabbing rebounds for the team. He's laced up in his Kobe's, and he's like as if he's like helping him out. He's a
most
trainer.
In shape president of basketball operations in the league. I'm willing to put money on that.
Lord Pelinka, bro. Lord Pelinka, you got it.
Clearly we're hyped. So I'm gonna close this out on this, man, so we can all get to this game. They're gonna drop 4 different Kobe protos on. I think we're starting 8/24. How much money are you gentlemen willing to spend to get one pair of those sneakers?
I want the jersey. I want the jersey more than I want the shoes. I'm not gonna lie. I want the jersey more than I want the shoes, but I don't know. What are they retailing for? Like 180 or something like that? Or
I think 180. And I mean
180.
They're going to be hard to get. Like I think all 4 pairs, especially the undefeated joints.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. The most I've ever spent on a pair of basketball sneakers, a pair of Jordans, is 500 or so.
Yeah, so, I was gonna say 500 is probably my. For the jersey, I would spend 500. I don't know if I'd spend that on the shoes.
This whole shoe game, I just got into having that income that I can push around into some extracurricular hobbies. Like I feel my blood starts to boil. I dropped 220 on some shoes, but here's the thing that pisses me off, and I'm glad you brought this up, Alex, my brother. Is the whole shoe buying industry. Yeah. Don't tell me that this gonna drop on 8/24 at 9 a.m. and when I log on at the right time, not a second late. You telling me something wrong with my connection. Next time I go back in, you telling me I'm waiting in a waiting room for a website? Waiting room for a website? You guys do these limited releases crap. Yeah. It's making me lose interest in chasing the shoe game business because I got money. Trust me, this corporate money played well in my industry. But you're losing somebody if a little 13-year-old living in Beverly Hills just paying $500 for bots and he buying them all up, and now I got to go on StockX and they're $19,000 just so I can support my GOAT. I'm with Benet. Just give me the jersey. I don't care the price.
Just give me the jersey. That's all I want.
I'm hoping they do a general release with the sneakers so it's not like super limited. I know the undefeateds will probably be limited, but like make enough pairs where everybody can grab them. A lot of people love Kobe, but I fear that it is going to be super tough. I mean,
you make the money. I mean, we don't need to get into business economics, but you make the money in volume anyways. Like, right. We're talking about Kobe. These aren't like, this is not some ordinary regular guy that we're talking about. So people are going to buy them regardless, but I'm with you, man. Like I probably spend
waiting for just more stuff like Nike. It's okay. We got the funding. Lakers Nation has the funding. Kobe lovers, we'll buy it all. Just make it. We'll figure the rest out.
Yeah. So it's I would say 500 is probably the most I probably. Look, man, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna keep my eyes. I know I'm not gonna get it. I know I'm not gonna get The bots are out of control.
The bots are crazy. Yeah,
I've heard sneakerheads complain about the bots. Like, and then there's there's big bots, small bots, whatever. I'll look at the aftermarket and the resale market, but probably the jersey is what I really want more than anything else. So that's why, so I could frame it or something, just keep it in my house. So that's what I'm waiting for. But we're almost there. Go ahead. I think you're gonna show us one of your pairs, huh, Alex?
What? So my birthday is September 2nd. So my wife has asked me what do I want, and I thank God that I'm at a place where I have pretty much everything that I want. I mean, I could use, a Ferrari or something, but aside from that, I have pretty much what I want out of life. So I told her grab me a pair of those if she can, but I dropped $460 on these, and I dropped $5 on these.
Oh, LA to Chicago. You like those bad boys? Okay, are those
Jordan ones, baby.
Yeah,
Jordan ones.
Yeah. See, that's how late I am to the sneaker game. All I cared about was the 13s. I was like, I like the little hologram in the side. Just like that always got me. And then I started buying them. And then Vinay, I went and bought the latest Jordans to hoop in, bro. Do I got to be a peacock to fit my shoes in them? Those are the most narrow thing on the planet, dog. I just swapped them out for some LeBron 16 lows. Those feel like butter. But, man, how is Zion, little chunky, healthy self, supposed to hoop in some Jordans? That don't make no damn sense.
I'm exactly like Ricky. I only buy basketball shoes that I'm going to hoop in. I never buy basketball shoes for just like casual wear and stuff like that. I've never been into that. So like if I buy those Kobe's, I'll probably buy multiple pairs because I'm going to play in them most likely, and then maybe try to keep one pair safe. But I hope Nike makes enough. I think they'll probably do some extra releases later because they know the bots are crazy. But look, fellas, we're 5 minutes away from game time tipping off. I agree with Alex. I feel like we've been very, very hyped. We're very excited for this to start, and I am too, man. I hope we get a great game today, and we have some positive things to talk about tomorrow. And let's just get that win. And any Laker fans that have tuned into this or just stop by for a second, go ahead and be your obnoxious self. You take it one day at a time, one game at a time. Enjoy yourself, win or lose. And I'll see you guys after, man.
Let's do it, man. Vinay, tell everybody how they can find you, man.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. It's the only place I'm at VKillem, right there at the bottom.
Ricky, go ahead, man. Promo the pod and everything that you're working on, man.
Man, it's the Late Night Lake Show podcast. Find it wherever you get your podcast. Sponsored by Crossover Media. That's how we get down. That's the parent company, right? I was about to go into a Stitcher ad, but I forgot it's not my show. But no, you guys can follow me right there, Mr. Ricky Spanish. That's where I talk most of my good talk. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all having me on. Of course, Danny, once again, doesn't know time zones in the year of our Lord 2020, but it's all good. Can't wait to have you guys back on the Late Night Lake Show podcast. I appreciate y'all having me on here.
Sure. It's all love, man. Well, y'all know where you can find me at. You can find me on Twitter at Laker Central CEO, and then you can follow the podcast at Laker Central 365, and certainly follow Crossover at Crossover 365. So let's get to this. Let's get to this game one in the playoffs for the Lakers, man. Until next time, folks. It's Laker Central.
Let's go.